Good morning. Right now, we're coming up on 9:05, and it's time for this special edition of the Weather Desk. Man, what a morning, collectively.
What a morning.
Oh, yeah.
Are you guys good?
Yeah.
I had my bagel, and now I'm feeling great.
You feel better now? Okay,
Yes,
good.
It has been one of those mornings, yeah. I think everybody was foraging for whatever was left in our desks to eat, and then they came in management day with some bagels, so that's a good thing. We got started extra early this morning because Hampton Roads, we got our turn with the weather that has been impacting the Gulf Coast. It's been incredible, right? We had those images. Eugene, we were talking about Louisiana, Georgia. They got plastered yesterday.
Yeah, my family just happens to be where things are happening here recently.
Yeah.
But yeah, we got some photos to share of my grandmother's home, my father's home in Baton Rouge, Louisiana. Historic snow that they've never seen in their lifetimes.
Yeah, I mean, you guys saw the video out of New Orleans. You get down to the French Quarter. Say, hi, yeah, we got the snow. Crazy down there. And Marta, you've had an amazing morning because the roads here in Hampton Roads snow-packed for part of the morning anyway. It's starting to get a little bit better now, but what a morning for you.
Yeah, and we're lucky because a lot of people stayed off the roads, but we still saw, for the amount of people that were not on the roads, a lot of incidents. So thank goodness a lot of people are staying home.
Well, we've got a full show for you right now, and we're going to continue with our coverage. We are in a weather alert day, and I want to start off by telling you about that. We knew it was cold, and then the snow on top of it all. So let's start off with that. You can see across the region what we've been dealing with. Well, today and tomorrow, it's the bitter cold. That's what set it up. Yesterday, we had bitter cold, and we had the weather alert day out for that. Dangerous cold, in fact. It's going to be really, really cold throughout the day today, and then bitter cold again tomorrow morning. That's why I'm extending our weather alert day through Thursday morning. So we'll deal with the dangerously frigid temperatures. Obviously, the snow, we knew that was going to be a big issue this morning, and it has been. Our advice, again, avoid travel while the roads are messy. We're going to hear from Marta. She'll have live update here during our weather desk this half hour. She's going to update us on how things are looking across Hampton Roads in just a few minutes. But this is what is going on, and I'll tell you, the snow reports have been pretty staggering. Now, I'm going to go ahead and run through a bunch of reports from all around the region, but I've got to tell you, we've got more team coverage of this morning's snowfall and the very, very cold conditions. Take a look at our crew here. We had Jeremiah, we have Taylor, and we have Emily. They're all out in various locations across the region, and of course, Marta's been helping keep an eye on the traffic. I want to start by throwing things out to Taylor Stephenson. She made it down to the Outer Banks. You're looking at all of these different cameras across Hampton Roads, snow everywhere and blowing snow. And I know Taylor Stephenson got an up-close and personal view of that as she was driving down with Jason Walsh, one of our photojournalists. Taylor, you got a little taste of that cold out there. I see you're back in the warm vehicle, but you were saying you guys have been fighting the wind all morning.
That, Craig, has been the whole thing that has kept us so cold out here. If it hadn't been for the wind, I think that we actually would have fared pretty fine in Dare County. We actually just entered into Currituck County, so still in northeastern North Carolina, just not around the Outer Banks anymore. And what we've noticed, both me and my photographer Jason have noticed, is that the wind has died down so significantly since this morning, where it was just biting us at a certain point. Wind gusts as high as 30 to 40 miles per hour across the area. And now what we're looking at as we enter Currituck County is just unplowed lanes, pretty much the same lanes that we saw early this morning around 4 a.m. Now we're starting to see a couple more people out on the roads, but compared to what we saw in the Outer Banks, the snow drift is not as significant here in Currituck County. So continuing to see those winds die down, but otherwise still brutally cold everywhere we are talking still that cold weather alert in place, but we're seeing the feels like temperatures 5 to 15 degrees.
Yeah, Taylor, I know it is so cold out there. You yesterday did a great, what we call a weather nugget, talking about the snow ratios. And Taylor, this morning when we took a look at one of the reports coming in, we found that ratio to be very close to 1 to 20. You know, typically we do a 1 to 10, but you were talking about this and explaining how that drives our snow totals.
Right. So usually our medium ratio, or like our typical normal, is a snow ratio of 10 to 1. So for those who don't know what a 10 to 1 ratio is for every 1 inch of water that we have in the atmosphere in a very cold environment around 30 degrees, and we're predicting snow, that could lead up to 10 inches of snowfall. Now, Craig said that he saw a ratio 20 to 1, meaning that we had such little water, but because our temperatures were in the teens overnight, that led to such dry snow that we are seeing those snowflakes so tiny that they actually built up so fast. Wet snow really gets compact, and that's where you see lower snow totals. So 20 to 1 is pretty impressive, Craig.
Yeah, it was pretty crazy. And again, it took a little while for the atmosphere to moisten up last night, but once it did, we saw the snow really piling up. Taylor, thank you so much for that update. I really appreciate it. And again, one of the reports that we had coming out of North Carolina showed an actual measured amount of about 7.5 inches, just under 8 inches, and the liquid amount was 0.4 of an inch. So on a 10 to 1 ratio, you would have had 4 inches of snow. That wasn't the case. They had 7.5, almost 8 inches, bringing it close to that 20 to 1 ratio. So we knew it was going to be a dry snow, and we knew it was going to be cold, light, fluffy stuff. That's what we've seen. And some of these totals down in North Carolina, so impressive. Look at the Wright Brothers National Memorial with 9 inches of snow. We had a report out of Elizabeth City at 5.8 inches. And I'll tell you who else is down in Elizabeth City. Jeremiah Beatty. She's down there now and reporting. Jeremiah, what a job you did. You look so cozy with your hat. You got your hood up there. So hopefully you're staying warm enough. Talk to me. Yes, you look like $1 million. How do you feel, though? What's going on down there?
Good morning, Craig. One thing I can say that's stayed consistent here in Elizabeth City is that the temperature has consistently stayed around 20 degrees, and you can see that wind gusts are still pretty intense here, but it's been cold, and I'm standing here, it's about 3 or 4 inches here where I'm standing, but you said in other areas at least up to 8 inches. But one thing I will say, the road conditions, NCDOT has been out prioritizing those main roadways just to keep things clear for drivers who you can see there are venturing out. They're especially prioritizing those roads in front of hospitals and police stations. But again, we've seen since we've been out here 4 a.m. there's been several plow trucks coming by, but for drivers especially, just take your time. Like we've said all morning, just act like you're taking your grandmother to church. It's very intense. We've seen several people skidding or sliding on the roadway. So just take your time and stay calm, and you'll get around safely. But yeah, it's just been cold and windy here in Elizabeth City, but people have been getting out to enjoy this weather.
It is beautiful to look at. Jeremiah, have you seen a lot of the blowing snow, though? Like, there have been some areas that we've seen that have been cleared, and then it looks like snow kind of blows back over and almost creates a light coating over it again.
Yes, Craig, we definitely have seen that. I don't know if you guys can see it right now in frame, but that has happened. It almost earlier this morning looked like I was in the middle of a blizzard because it was that intense from the wind gust. And yeah, with it already being, like I said, around 20 degrees out here, you can only imagine how the wind kicks that up even more.
Yeah, Jeremiah, you've done a great job this morning. We want you to stay warm, get to a warm place, and again, thaw out a little bit. And a quick word to you and your photographer driving back. We just saw with Taylor, some of the roads they were driving back, they were down at the Outer Banks, still look like they're pretty snow covered in some areas. So you guys extra cautious coming back to the station. Thank you for your efforts this morning. I see Emily, who's been having so much fun. She especially has been talking about how she loves the super cold temperatures and that biting wind. Emily, I see you're smiling. You hanging in there?
Oh, yes. I was just remembering. Yeah, I was just remembering 4 a.m. being out right on the Virginia Beach oceanfront boardwalk and just the sheer experience of those absolutely frigid winds. Those were not fun, but you know, it's pretty to look at. There's still some snow around here, and I would say I measured it earlier. It was like an inch here in town center, and it was an inch over at the oceanfront. So it's pretty to look at. I'll give it that.
One thing I do want to tell you, just so that you can feel good about your braveness being out there, Virginia Beach has seen wind chills down around 4 degrees this morning. So you really drew the short straw being out at the oceanfront. That's where the winds were strongest. Are you seeing any drifting right now? Because sometimes at town center, those taller buildings can kind of funnel the winds, and you can actually get almost some wind tunnel type effects. Has it been worse there at times, or how are you doing now?
Well, Craig, I feel vindicated now that you told me that, because I was swearing just how cold it was at the oceanfront, and I am seeing some of that. Definitely a blowing snow effect, and we see it. It's kind of hard to see now because it's daylight out, but we saw it earlier coming off the tops of some of the high buildings that are surrounding us here in town center. But I will say that the oceanfront still has it over town center, even though these buildings can act like wind tunnels. The oceanfront, by far the windiest area I've been to this morning.
Well, I'm going to tell you the same thing I just mentioned to Jeremiah. Please be careful getting back here. And thank you so much. I know it was an early start and you were out there without complaint. You did note the cold and the wind several times, but I don't blame you one bit. So thank you so much, Emily. Appreciate your extended coverage. All right. I want to talk some more about the snow totals that we've seen, and we can take these boards full. I'm going to head over to the big board, the monitor wall, and talk a little bit more about what we've been seeing. Again, these amounts so impressive. Wright Brothers Memorial, that's the highest official report that I've seen. That one I got from the National Weather Service. You can see, again, not too far from Wright Brothers Memorial, there was another report down around the Outer Banks, 8 inches, Elizabeth City, over 5. You can see Edenton, 5.5. As we take a look, Hertford County, 6 inches, and I should say Hertford, specifically the town, and then Camden, 5 inches there, South Mills and Corolla around 4 inches, a little bit less in Hickory, but we did get that 2 to 4 inch snowfall that we were anticipating across the south side. I got to tell you, our forecast numbers really hit. This was all very well handled by the models again, and our interpretation of those models, everything worked out well. We saw that high rain to snow ratio we were going to talk about, that liquid to frozen ratio. All of this has contributed to produce these snow totals that have been reported. More are coming in across the area. You'll notice the lighter amounts out around Franklin, Tab, some of those areas, about 1.5 inches to 2 inches. So it was lighter out around Smithfield as well. Riverwalk 3 to 4 inches, Ocean View 4 inches. So a lot of snow this morning. Now, we're going to talk about what's been going on. We've got warmer weather coming up for the weekend, decreasing clouds today, highs only around 26. Here's what you need to do. Again, you've got to beat the bitter cold coming up. You can see today stays cold, tonight and early tomorrow. Bitter cold. Watch for blowing snow, and we really want to stress that folks take it easy out there as you're working on clearing the walks and taking care of some of the things you may need to take care of around the house. We are going to look forward to a warmer weekend, but we've got to get through today in good shape. And Ashley, I know you've been looking at some shoveling safety and some important things you want to pass along.
Oh yeah, Craig, the snow certainly sticking to the ground, and the cold temperatures that we're seeing today, it means you'll probably need to grab that shovel before you head to work. In fact, the American Heart Association wants to remind you that while shoveling might be a necessity, do not push yourself. I think that's the key here. With these cold temperatures and the constant movement, you could run the risk of a stroke or a heart attack. So again, keep those things in mind. Now, if you can, use a leaf or snow blower to clear your car, sidewalks, and driveways, since it takes less effort on your end. And if you have to use a shovel, opt to push or sweep the snow out of the way. Scooping, lifting, throwing the snow, that's going to put a strain on your muscles and, of course, your heart. And, of course, remember to bundle up. You're not only battling the cold temperatures, but you're also dealing with the snow. Eugene.
All right, Ash, you know, we've been keeping a track of how travel is being impacted across our area. Let's take a look now. This is ORF, Norfolk International Airport. As you're looking at their departures, we've had several cancellations today. We're not talking about just delays, cancellations. The cities like Atlanta to New York and Chicago, you're going to want to make sure that you are checking it. Every time you see a red dot there, there's either a delay or cancellation. So if you're supposed to fly out today, check your app for your airline and make sure you got all of that good to go. And Marta Berglund joins us now with a check of the road conditions. We go from the air to the roadways, Marta.
Yeah, we're going to see delays on the roads as well. As you can see on our map this morning, a lot of orange and yellow, and that's not because of congestion. That is because the flow of traffic is just slower with the conditions the roads are in right now. Here's a look at the Chesapeake Bay Bridge Tunnel, where the max safe speed is 25 miles per hour right now. And that's really the case on all of your bridge tunnels because those are the coldest surfaces, those bridges, those overpasses. That's where we see the majority of freezing. So this definitely going to take you some extra time today. We've been keeping an eye on I-264 westbound this morning because we do have a disabled snow plow. We're not sure what happened to this plow, but just be aware you already want to be careful when you see any sort of crews working on the roads, but especially if you see any sort of first responders. It looks like one shoulder lane is blocked off, but otherwise traffic still moving on I-264 this morning. As we take a look at US 58 coming in and out of Suffolk, again, we are seeing clearing on the roads. You can see we actually see the road now. However, because the exhaust is what's melting that snow, we could easily see refreezing because of how cold our temperatures are. We still have patches of snow and possible patches of ice as well as we make our way through Suffolk. Now looking at Shore Drive on Virginia Beach, I just love this shot because it shows one direction, completely clear roads, other direction, completely covered in snow. It just really depends on where you are, if plows have treated, if a lot of cars have driven by. Those are the things that are going to impact your travel today. And then finally, taking a look at Big Bethel and Saunders Road in Hampton. Looks like our camera got a little too cold and froze up, but this is basically what you're going to see throughout Hampton at our main intersections today. Some spots with melting, some spots still completely covered with that packed down snow. And I know, Craig, we've been talking about that packed down snow all morning because that's what can start to create those really slippery conditions. When it really is compact, that's when issues can arise.
Yeah, absolutely, Marta. It's one of those things I was showing, taking my actually a leaf blower and just showing how easily you could push the snow off. But where there were footprints and the snow had been compacted, there remained a snowpack after you blew away all the loose snow. And if you think about it, a little bit of blowing snow, a light coating over snowpack creates an even more slippery surface than ordinary snow. I mean, it can be very, very treacherous out there, so folks do need to take it easy. Now, for the kids that want to get out and enjoy the snow, and I know a lot of kids do, I've already seen folks out early this morning taking a walk, just folks wanting to get out and see the snow for themselves. Wind chills are still in the single digits to teens across the area. We've got the cold weather advisory until 10 o'clock this morning, so it's not that much longer, but it's still really cold, and it's going to stay cold out there. I do want to offer you some hope. Take a look here at our extended forecast. Mid-20s today, and then mid-30s tomorrow, upper 30s Friday, low 40s Saturday, and back to average on Sunday. It'll stay pretty warm relative to what we've had, even into Monday with a little step back, but then we're actually going to be above average into Wednesday and Thursday. Another little dip by the end of the week, but not the deep cold press that we've seen over the past several days. It won't be that cold, and it looks like the pattern is starting to change. Note the above normal temperatures in the central U.S. We should be close to normal when you look out the end of January through the first week of February with below normal temperatures for the Northeast. Here in the Mid-Atlantic, though, things look looking good. It'll also be warm out around Nevada and Utah. But again, this is a big change from all of the cold weather we've had over the eastern half of the country for the last month. It's been very, very cold with that polar vortex dropping to the south, and we've certainly been dealing with that. All right, our temperatures currently are in the low 20s. You can see that, low to mid 20s, and it's been the wind. We've talked a lot about it. We had a gust of 31 at Norfolk. We've seen gusts over 30, and actually at times up around 40 or so at Duck Pier. We just recently had one to 36. You'll notice Virginia Beach with a gust to 28. That's really not bad compared to what we were seeing earlier this morning. So there's been a lot of wind, obviously cold, and those wind chills have been in the single digits. Virginia Beach is now up to, I say up to 6 degrees for a current feels like temperature. 6 in Hampton, 8 in Norfolk. Feels like 4 up at Malfa. That's the coldest reading. Elizabeth City, Ahoskie. I mean, there's really no escaping the cold right now across the region. Now, we mentioned all of this snow that's been taking place down in northeast North Carolina. It's not going anywhere. The snow that we have here in Hampton Roads, it's not going anywhere. Look at our wind chills as we go through the afternoon. Wind chills still in the teens and in some places around 12 degrees or so. That's pretty much it. As we go through the overnight, the winds will ease and it just stays cold. So with temperatures below freezing, I expect that snow to hang around at least for a day or so. Eventually, we'll get back above freezing for tomorrow. But the snow has been heavy down across North Carolina. And while things are improving, it's really something that is kind of a rare thing. You know, we got a lot of snow across the area. We didn't set records or anything like that for Hampton Roads. But as far as the areas down to the south, well, our chief meteorologist, Tim Pandagis, took a look at some of the historic snowfalls down across North Carolina.
Let's start with Manio. The record for the largest one-day snowfall there stands at 10 inches, set in February 1980. The 5th largest snowfall at 3 inches occurred in January 2010. If the current forecast holds, this storm could deliver the most snow the area has seen in decades. Moving farther south to Cape Hatteras, the snowfall records are even more remarkable. The top event saw 11 inches of snow back in 1917, with several storms producing over 6 inches in the past. Breaking into the top 5 here may be more challenging, but it's certainly within the realm of possibility. While this snowfall forecast is unusual for coastal North Carolina, it pales in comparison to the historic snow that recently blanketed parts of the Deep South. Some locations recorded their snowiest day ever this past Tuesday. A truly extraordinary event.
All right, well, we lost the end of that little message there, but we're going to go ahead and continue with our forecast message because I do want you to know there's still a chance we could see a few bay effect flurries across the area. The heavier snow, though, it is moving out. We'll just have to keep an eye to the radar to see if we get a flurry or two coming off the bay. Now, temperatures are going to stay cold today. That we know, low to mid 20s in general. As we go along here, you're going to find the skies gradually becoming partly sunny around midday. A few more bay effect clouds coming off the bay. That's certainly a potential. But aside from that, lots of sunshine. And as we get into the evening, it's going to be mainly clear. Now, looking ahead to tomorrow, clouds are going to increase. We start off with temperatures in the teens and low 20s. Again, winds will make it feel colder than that. That's why we have our weather alert day continuing into tomorrow. And then as we go along, you're going to find the skies becoming mostly cloudy tomorrow. Temperatures, though, up into the mid 30s. That's going to feel really good. All right, after that, looks like we're going to see some more sunshine coming up Friday into Saturday. And then later in the weekend, the warm up. Across the region today, temperatures will be in the upper 20s. You'll see mid 20s around Virginia Beach, Chesapeake, and Norfolk. Still breezy in Virginia Beach, but the winds will be easing as we go through the latter part of the day and certainly tonight. But still cold enough to make it very uncomfortable and dangerously cold overnight. Up on the eastern shore, mid-20s there, mid-20s for Matthews, Gloucester 27. We'll see temperatures around 26 or so for Hampton and Newport News, maybe a little bit warmer. And note the sunshine. This is what's coming later today. All right, the heavy snow is out. You might see a few bay effect flurries coming off across the south side. But aside from that, we're generally looking forward to more sunshine. That goes for northeast North Carolina. Again, the snow is pretty much already ended in these areas. It continues down around Ocracoke and Hatteras a little bit longer, but it too will be winding down there. Still pretty breezy at the Outer Banks. All right, as we head through the overnight tonight, the low will be down around 20. It's going to be mainly clear. Obviously bitterly cold. The northeast winds at 10 miles per hour at times, again, making it feel like it's in the teens, and even some single digits for inland areas where it will be colder. For tomorrow, quite chilly, 36 degrees. It becomes mostly cloudy. And then again, after that, we'll welcome some more sunshine. Let's take this full. You can see what's happening there. Again, we're going to see the sunshine for Saturday. On Sunday, we'll find the temperatures warming back up to near 50. On Monday, a chance for showers. It looks like that's just going to be rain showers right now. So again, not too worried about snow, but it will be a little cool in the morning there with temperatures in the mid-30s. As we go into the middle part of next week, it will be warming up. I want to remind everybody you can find me on social media. Our digital coverage here at 13 News Now will continue as well. It has been quite a job this morning covering all of this. We've had a great job from our entire crew out here, and I'll tell you what, I thought we'd end this edition of the Weather Desk outside. So if you've heard me fumbling around while delivering the 7-day forecast and mentioning that social media stuff, I put on my coat. Good to see you guys all covered as well. Now, I did say this snow, again, is very light, okay? Yeah, it's very
Ashley's
light.
using me as a shield.
Ashley has done this with me long enough to know that I might hit you with a snowball. I might or I might not do that,
I'm backing
Eugene.
away.
It's okay.
Exactly.
It's okay.
You know what? So we got Eugene, who's from the deep south. I mean, Atlanta and Louisiana.
Yeah, but I spent a lot of years in Illinois, so this.
So you should have known that snow was coming.
Oh yeah, and that's why I was okay with it.
He's
I'm okay with it. I'm okay being your shield.
Marta, on the other hand, you know, coming down from Minnesota, I said, you know, you're like a husky. You like, I want to get out and play in the snow. You love
I was grinning ear to ear when I heard about the snow.
Oh, good.
And when I walked outside. I love when it snows. I know it's tricky on the roads and you have to be careful. It can be dangerous, but if you take it slow and you're safe, it can be so much fun.
When it's safe, it's enjoyable.
It is, and it's beautiful to look at. Ashley, so were you able to get your little ones out with the last round of snow? Did they get out and see it?
Yeah, they were not happy with the last.
Oh, really?
Yeah.
All right, they took after mom, apparently.
Well, no, they wanted more.
Oh, I thought you said they didn't want any part of it.
They're going to be happy this
They're going to be happy
Yeah.
this morning.
All right,
Good
so
covering.
my advice, as you can tell now, just stepping outside, it is still windy. It is still really cold. So for the little ones, obviously you want to bundle and bundle and bundle and bundle. But if you've got little ones that are biting it to get outside, biting at the bit, they just want to get out there and go, just know that it's still windy this morning. The winds will ease a bit, so it won't feel quite as bitterly cold later, but still cold. Okay, highs only in the mid-20s. You guys have any final thoughts on this?
Are we going to be back
outside?
out? Yeah, well, number one.
It's a fair question.
Number two, are we going to be back out here tomorrow? It's going to look pretty much just like this?
So tomorrow it's still really cold. That's why we're extending the weather alert day. Again, very, very cold tomorrow morning. It won't be quite this breezy, which we're really feeling. The snow is going to stick around, though, because temperatures stay below freezing. The sun will actually help what we call sublimate, where it goes from crystal straight to vapor. So, you know, we might lose just a little bit of it, but it's not going to melt because it's just so warm. Still be alert to variable conditions. Look at this.
Yeah.
This is a prime example, okay? Down here, all right, that is ice.
Yeah.
That is ice, all right? So I really want, look at that. It is breaking off right there.
Yeah.
So anyway, this is what you can find underneath what just looks like some snow, especially where you get cars going. We saw some of the roads getting a little wet.
Right.
Could be some refreezing. So we just want everybody to please be careful, okay? You guys want to go back inside and get a bite to eat and warm up?
Yes, please.
All right. We're going to end this edition of the Weather Desk. Remember, you can find us here on the 13 News Now Plus app every day, Monday through Friday around 9 a.m. Guys, stay warm.
Hear that wind?
Enjoy the snow. We'll see you next time.